Tia mauri ora. E ngā reo, e ngā mana, e ngā ihi, e ngā wehi, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Matariki tēnā, e rewa ake ana i te pae, anō reira koe a tātou i raro i te tuanui o tēnei o ngā whare, me ngā rangi tūhaha, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Tangi hia o tātou eitua rātou kei te mahau o Matariki e tatari ana kia hoki atu ki te kāinga tūturu. Rātou kia rātou tātou te pito. Ora kia tātou tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. A really awesome welcome everyone to everybody here to Te Akamauri and Matariki Tauira, the winter sky. This is an opportunity where we give staff members of RLC, of the Rotorua Lakes Council, an opportunity to share what they have learnt about a particular star that we have allocated to them, a particular heavenly body, because we've also had kōrero around a planet, around the moon, and today we will be talking about three whetū, I believe they're whetū, three whetū that are regularly referred to all together, known as Tautoru, Toru as three. Now, 2.5 weeks ago, the person who's going to get up and have a kōrero, Jill Campbell, knew nothing about Tautoru, or was it a week and a half? It was a week and a half that Jill knew nothing about Tautoru. So this is about Jill sharing her knowledge, sharing her kōrero of Tautoru. Matariki Tauira, Tauira, learning Tauira, a student. So, a student of Tautoru, please give a big hand, and those who want to come along, please come and sit down and enjoy 15 minutes of awesome kōrero. 3 stars all in one. We have Tautoru no mai, haere mai. Jill Campbell, to the winter sky.
Tēnā koutou, ko Coxie te maunga, ko Blackett Slate te ropo, ko Air New Zealand Flight 454 te raka te wakarererangi, ko Scottish te iwi, ko Morrison te hapu, ko Jill Campbell takuinga. So, kia ora. My name is Jill Campbell, and I am a principal advisor within the Thriving Communities team of council. Originally, I am from Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, which is on the eastern seaboard of Canada. Nova Scotia is New Scotland in Gaelic, and I would say that it's probably the most similar to Bluff. So if I was going to do a comparison, probably the people are quite similar as well. So I arrived in New Zealand probably 20 years ago, and my first job was at Rotorua District Council, and 3 weeks later I met my now husband from working at council, and so married a Te Arawa boy, and now we have 4 Tamariki, and here we are in Rotorua, still working at the council. Never thought I'd be a lifer. And so originally I am, Morrison is my maiden name, and I've always said in this town I should have kept that name. I could have got some free tickets to a concert or something, I'm sure. And so today my whetū is Tautoru, and I'm going to walk you through what I have learned over the past week and a half. Kia ora. So I am going to start really, I suppose, with this learning journey by acknowledging my reference. And so Dr. Rani Matamua, who is of Tuhoi descent, is really one of the leading experts in this space and has advocated quite hard to get Matariki on the map and now in that national holiday space. So he's dedicated his life to sharing and reviving Maori traditions and knowledge around Maori astronomy and the night sky, and is recognized not just in Aotearoa, but also internationally around Indigenous knowledge. What I found interesting also was the fact that he has had to challenge knowledge that has been in place since the 1920s. So Elson Best came up with a lot of interpretation of Maori astronomy, and Dr. Matamua, basically in his stories, has said that in 1995 he went and had a conversation with his grandfather, and he wanted to ask him questions about Matariki. And his grandfather went into his bedroom, had a look in the cupboard, came out with a 400-page manuscript in Maori of the Tuhoi interpretation of the night sky. And so that is where Dr. Matamua has been referencing all of this work is from his grandfather and his grandfather's father, who also had Ngāti Pikiau connections here as well, so just wanted to acknowledge that. This is the image, this was the first image that I could find of Tautoru. In Pakeha, this is Orion's belt, so it's made up of 3 stars. It's a very famous cluster, but what I quickly realized was that this was in the Northern Hemisphere setup. And so we needed to flip it, turn it, reverse it, to have a look at it in the southern sky. So looking at the winter sky, what we're looking at in the image above is that you have the constellation of Orion, which includes Tautoru, and you also have Puanga, and is included in the Orion constellation. So Tautoru and Puanga were considered markers in the sky to help find Matariki. So in my research, and JD, this is kind of following on from what you had presented on, was that the Maori New Year is not just, for some iwi, considered Matariki. When you come from Naitahu or in the South Island, or if you're coming from an area like Taranaki, you may not be able to see the Matariki cluster. So Puanga is the brightest star in the sky, and so those iwi recognize the rising of that star as the start of the Maori New Year. And for me, that was something that I had no idea about, so definitely part of my learning in this process. So Puanga, for some iwi, that is their Matariki cluster. So Puanga is the star Regal and is the brightest star in the Orion constellation. Matariki is seen below Puanga and to the left of Tautoru, the 3 stars that we're talking about, which is considered Orion's belt. And they can be seen in the night sky, or in late autumn and during early winter. Puanga Kairau is the abundant harvest of Puanga. And so this is that time of year where I suppose it's acknowledging and recognizing the efforts of growing, harvesting, and storing food for the long nights of winter. Puanga rises as a tohu in the new year. She signifies a time to reflect and let go of the past year and to remember your loved ones. Acknowledge the rising of our loved ones that have passed so that their spirits become stars, and to prepare for the celebrations of the new year. Puanga is a period approximately of a month or a little bit longer. One thing I thought was quite interesting, I suppose, is that we now have Matariki as a New Year national holiday, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's on the same day every year. So just recognizing that Matariki and Puanga must be read when the moon is in the right phase of Piripi. So that's the lunar month of June. And that when the moon is in Tangaroa, so a week after the full moon, at the end of its third quarter and into the last, the celebrations can then take place. Reading the stars. I thought this was quite interesting, and I think the other piece of that, this is Maori were reading the stars for centuries, and they would not read just one piece of the puzzle. The whole sky was a puzzle, and you had to read it as a whole. Takao is the constellation known as the handle of the pot. So Orion's belt is also known as the pot. Kakao is the constellation known as the handle. The middle star is called Taho'orua. Taho'orua was a gathering place for the dead, a place where people go when they first die. Spirits were scooped up in the magical net of Taramainuku and suspended in the back of the canoe. The dead would hang there for a year until the rising of Matariki, when they were released as stars on the eastern horizon. Te Waka Orangi. This story I thought was, it was beautiful, and it's something that I thought is definitely something I will share with my own tamariki. Also for the fact that when our loved ones pass, and we have had our koro pass this year, that next year we will recognize and acknowledge him as a star in the night sky. So the constellation is known generally as Te Waka Orangi. Te Waka Orangi is a canoe with Matariki at the front and Tautoru, Orion's belt, at the back, captained by a star called Taramainuku. Te kupinga o Taramainuku is the net of Taramainuku. And every night the constellation is in the sky, he casts his net down to earth to gather the souls of the people that died that day. He carries them along behind his waka for 11 months and takes them to the underworld, where the constellation sets next to the sun in May. On the rise of Matariki in the following month, he releases the souls of the dead into the sky to become stars. What I have learned through this journey, I suppose, is that I am a fledgling learner, and that this, thank you, Kingy, and JD, this experience helped me to learn something new, and something that I will share with my whānau and my colleagues and other people that I think even within my kids' school, and my husband is a teacher, and he was going through this with me, thinking what he could take into the classroom. Puanga and Matariki have the same significance for some iwi. Fetu are our ancestors shining in the night sky. And again, that piece for my own whānau I think is important, because when my tamariki look up into the night sky, they say that to me, that our ancestors are looking down on us, and I think that is beautiful. Maori observed Fetu carefully, as they were important indicators of time and particular stars and star clusters, where omens were aspects of life, including crop success. I think this is another beautiful example of Maori traditional knowledge and acknowledging the connection to the natural world. So there is so much more to learn in this space. This is just a small piece of the pie. And I acknowledge the opportunity to sit with my colleagues within council to learn a little bit more about this and to continue this in years to come with my own whānau. So kia ora and thank you.
Thank you, Jill. That was awesome. Tēnā koe. That wasn't a sharing experience, that wasn't a kōrero, that was a sharing experience. Like stars in the sky, we have the words on the screen, and they're all but touched with a bit of Jill Morrison, Jill Campbell. Think about it though, if you had carried on being the name Jill Morrison, you would have been invited to all the pohiri in Te Arawa, oh, she's a Morrison, oh, come to our pohiri. But we want to pohiri the kōrero that you gave. We have a pathfinder at Tātou Mā, we have a pathfinder, so if you want some more information about Tautoru or about Matariki, you can find it here in Te Akamauri. Jill, one final thing. You have moved from being a Matariki Tauira, which was a student of Matariki, to being a Matariki Tauira. Tauira as an example of Matariki, because you, like the stars, you shone down your knowledge for the betterment of everyone else. Nō reira, tēnā koe, tēnā tātou, tēnā katoa. Just want to acknowledge Laura, tēnā koe. Our very first Matariki Tauira, we asked people if they would like to be part of Matariki Tauira. We just said, oh Laura, you're up first. And your kōrero was very awesome. So we have three Matariki Tauira in the room today, and 4, because is it tomorrow, Abigail? Tomorrow Abigail will be having her kōrero, and we'll have a bit of a rest on Saturday, but we'll have a video up on Saturday and then be back on Sunday with Deputy Mayor Dave Donaldson. But this today, Matariki Tauira Day, belongs to you, Jill. Nō reira, tēnā koe, o te rā tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou kia whakairi ake te tapu, kia wātea ai te ara, kia turuki whakataha ai, kia turuki whakataha ai, huie, tai ki e. Kia ora tātou. Kia ora, Jill.
Kia ora.